This is Ahead in Tech, career journeys of extraordinary people in tech and interviews that help you get ahead in your tech career. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ahead in Tech. I'm here today with my old buddy, Seb. Seb, hello. Good afternoon, just about.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, thanks. You?
Yeah, really well. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. We've been planning this for a while. Really excited about this talk. We're going to be talking about the UK contracting market today. You have something like around 15 years as a developer or in sort of software. You started in like web dev and you move up to like, software engineering. You had permanent careers at some awesome companies like BBC, Shazam, and Red Badger. And then you had a prolonged career as a contractor for like companies such as HSB, Sky, where we worked together, which was awesome. And now Tesco's. So when we worked together at Sky, you were really well known. I mean, you're an awesome developer. You're an awesome guy. You helped out so many people. So, you've got a great reputation, and I know you've got a lot of experience as a contractor. So I'm really looking forward to getting your opinion on the UK contracting market right now.
All right, cheers. Thanks for the feedback.
No worries. Yeah, I'm sure you knew those things anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What was the question?
There's no question. I was just saying how awesome you are.
Right. You have to cut that bit.
Okay, but I do have a question for you. So going back to the start of your career, how and why do you get into tech or software engineering?
I think it was mostly at school. It was kind of like sort of web technologies were sort of picking up. So you kind of had websites first starting to appear in the late 90s and things like that. So I remember being at school and you could go, I don't know, to the BBC's website and you could have a look at it. And then I was like, how do they do this? And what is it that they're using to make this? And I suppose just being able to go to that website and in the early days, just right click and view source and just seeing it all there and saving it. And then you could open it up in a browser and then you could see that version and then you'd make changes to it. And, you could change the name of the article or say, Sanjay is great or whatever and save it and refresh. And the BBC says Sanjay is great now. So it's like quite interesting.
I've always liked the BBC.
I suppose you could have I think in the early days there was a thing called GeoCities where you would sort of be able to like hand code websites and things like that. And I suppose going forward it kind of got a bit more advanced. I suppose in the early days there were some technologies like PHP I think was an early dynamic based version where you could connect it to databases and fetch stuff from there and it kind of grew up from there. And then I suppose these days we're mostly into JavaScript everywhere, so it's like Node is running in the browser and in the back end. So
awesome. It's a good time to be alive if you like JavaScript for sure. So moving through that sort of contractor phase, we were both contractors at Sky like a couple of years ago. We were working on Peacock TV. At that point, that's when the IR35 rules change. And for people who don't know, those, broadly speaking, that's like a tax legislation that came in so that people who were contractors without any of the benefits of being a permanent member of staff, who were getting paid more generally and sort of, working via a third-party company or their own limited company or something. The IR35 rules came in to sort of force us to pay more tax or a fairer share of the tax or whatever, but that had other sort of implications on things. But critically, during that period, all contractors were kind of being made redundant and they were either being asked to become a permanent or being asked to leave to look for contract work elsewhere. And there's a big thing with inside and outside IR35. So what happened to you during that phase? You left Sky and you kept on contracting?
Yeah, I guess there was quite a few thoughts around that. Yeah, having been permanent for the beginning of my career, I guess I could have gone back to being permanent at that point. But there were sort of three options, I suppose. You kind of had going back into a permanent position, or going inside IR35, which is mostly in that situation, you're technically employed by an umbrella company, or find other contracts which are outside of IR35. Yeah, so I suppose in that situation, I decided to try and look for contracts that were still outside of IR35. With Sky, essentially they brought us down into a meeting room. I remember around Christmas time, and they kind of gave us mince pies, and kind of broke the news, saying either you become permanent or you leave. So that was your choice. The issue, I suppose, with going permanent is that, contracting, you do earn more than a full-time employee. They kind of sort of said that there are certain benefits as well that comes with being permanent, such as pension and holiday pay, sick pay, that sort of thing, and you wouldn't get that sort of compensation, as they say, being a contractor. If you take a day off, or if you are not feeling very well, then you don't get paid. As simple as that. So, you're not having a pension paid for you automatically. So I suppose there are some downsides of being a contractor, but overall, it's sort of like made up. Being a contractor, so you can choose who you're working for, what days you're working, what hours. In some situations, not every contract is like that. I suppose the reason that this change was sort of brought in by the government was they kind of saw it as sort of like a disguised employment. So you're technically a contractor, so you've set up your own company, you have your personal liability insurances, you've signed all the paperwork, and I think there was one crucial point in the contract. In most contracts outside of IR35 is called the right to substitution. So if I'm not in that day, or I'm taking holiday for a week or whatever, I can just say, hey, Sanjay, do you mind stepping in for me and finishing off this piece of work? But I think the government sort of saw that this is sort of like a one-man band situation. So you're just working for this company, you're technically an employee, we can get more tax off of you if you pay national insurance, taxes, and other taxes that permanent employees would normally have to pay. In that situation, there are still exceptions. I think if the company that you're working or contracting for is earning less than a certain amount, or I think if they have less than a certain number of people, staff, then they're still allowed to take on contractors outside of IR35. And also, I think you sort of have to have that clause in there to say that you can be substituted. Some companies don't like that clause, because normally you'd have to have NDAs, and I don't know, if I take one day of holiday or something like that, and I say, Sanjay, come and work here for a day, you're going to have no context of where I'm working and what their technology is and what sort of project you're working on. I think you'd probably spend a day trying to get set up and everything installed, and then that would be the end of your day, effectively, trying to figure things out. So I think that in some situations that right to substitution doesn't always work, and I think the government saw this as a way that they could potentially claim more taxes from their contractors. But there are some companies that still offer it if they've done certain checks and make sure that you do meet these criteria. Then you can still work for these companies, but otherwise you then either have to go inside IR35, which means choosing an umbrella company to work for. So effectively, you're still a contractor, but you're employed by an umbrella company. So rather than you signing the contract with your client to say, this is this is what we're going to be working on, this is what we're doing, then you would have to sign a contract with an umbrella company, and then you would take a PAYE salary from them. Effectively, I think they just will invoice the company on your behalf, and then will basically try and take as little cut. I guess they're sort of a middleman from that, and then pay you. So you're kind of losing money by going inside of IR35, but you're still earning more than a full-time employee. So I think there's still benefits of working inside, because obviously the pay, but you're losing some things as well. And I think also inside of IR35, like with my current company, I would pay into a pension via my company, and then that, when you're like inside IR35, you sort of can't do that anymore, because your client is not paying into your business account anymore. So you basically will get your salary into your personal bank account. So I suppose you could still pay into your pension that way, but then you've basically taken a massive hit with all of the taxes and stuff there. So you're not sort of getting that benefit of being able to effectively you'll be paying tax twice, because you'll get the money paid into your personal account where they've taken off the national insurance taxes and things, and then you're paid into your pension, and then eventually, if you get to retire, then you would have to pay another tax to withdraw that. So with having your own business being able to pay that, then the taxes are not deducted until when you actually pay it out, either when you withdraw the money at that point.
Great summation of the situation we were in and the landscape as it sort of sits now, which I want to cover a little bit more. So where is the market at now? Because definitely the contract market took a huge dive, but I feel like it's come back up to where it was. I don't know exactly where it sits. You're obviously still contracting now?
So I'm still contracting. I think I have been a permanent employee for about 6-7 years, I think, after I left university, and then went contracting after about that sort of time. I probably wouldn't recommend going contracting straight after university, because you kind of need to build up your skill set. I think, like, if you come out of, I don't know, like university or Coders Academy or something like that, then you sort of need to come in as a junior to kind of pick up the skills that you'll need. Going straight into contract is probably not a good idea. You'd probably need a good couple of years behind you to be able to do that. And then is
it harder now to get into contracting? I mean, what is the market bigger, worse, better?
I suppose with COVID, I suppose it's probably made it. I suppose there's been some changes there. I suppose, like, if you're trying to break into contracting or something like that, then it's probably a lot harder to do that. But if you're already contracting, then I don't think too much has changed really. I suppose with the IR35 thing, it's made it probably a little bit harder to find contracts which are outside of IR35. I think most of the contracts that you normally see coming through are normally inside IR35. So I think I've definitely seen a reduction. I think inside IR35, they've some companies have sort of bumped up the day rate to try and match what you would sort of get outside of IR35. But I think, there's still maybe a little bit of a pay cut here and there, and you don't get the benefits of like a pension straight up, because I think with that it will go into the umbrella company, and then they'll take a cut of that, and then I think you have to work with an umbrella company for about 6 months or so before they'll set up like pensions and things like that. Yeah.
Then do you think it's effectively the end of IT contracting as we know it in the UK? Or what's your perspective on the future?
I don't think it's the end as such. It's probably you're going to struggle to find contracts that are outside of IR35. There are still some contracts which are outside of IR35, but I think the majority of them now seem to be inside of IR35. So, I don't see myself going back to being a permanent employee anytime soon anyway.
Okay. I suppose you, with your experience, and your reputation and your CV, you'll continue to get good contract work, right?
Hopefully. Yeah, as long as I suppose something else doesn't come along and just ban it, contracting outright completely. I suppose in some sectors, like in the UK, I suppose there's been a big thing around lorry driver shortages because they effectively were hit by the same deal. I think maybe they got hit a bit worse because you sort of had Brexit, then COVID, then IR35. So there was like a massive like shortfall in contractors there. And they I think were also like a much older average age. So they were like in their 50s or so. Some of them I suppose would have been coming up to retirement, so they lost quite a lot of people there. So I think in that market, I think it's probably a lot harder, but in like the IT markets and things, it's probably still viable, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Well, interesting to hear that you still think it's a viable path. It's good to know as well, because obviously there's besides the money, which is very nice, there's lots of other genuine reasons why people kind of prefer contracting, right? It's kind of a little bit more fun, exciting, challenging, and it's a more flexible way to live your life, right?
Yeah, that's certainly true. Like, I think one of the phrases that I normally live by is to stick at your job for 2 years plus or minus 1 year. So I think when you get to a certain point in a job, you either stop learning or you're not learning anything new. So maximum of like 3 years or so. Then I'd probably need to like jump to learn something new. I think in software development, there's always something new, like every day, new technologies that you sort of need to keep on top of.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Seb. This has been wonderful. Thank you very much for your time and your input. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, cheers.
But before I let you go, I need the joke of the show.
Why do they use Linux on the space station?
I don't know. Why do they use Linux on the space station?
Because they can't open Windows.
They can't open the Windows. Thank you very much, Seb. And that's all, folks. More info, links, and everything else can be found on aheadintech.com. Thank you, and please subscribe.